Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The roll call, please.
Kingsbladder.
Here.
Krebs. Cuffa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
McCartney. Foley.
Here.
Your Honor.
Here. I'm going to ask for a motion to excuse member Krebs and member McCartney.
So moved. Support.
Motion made, support. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda, and I want to add under 8B, put out bids for the crack seal machine.
So moved. Support.
All right, motion made, support. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Put that under 8B, please, new business. We'll go to 4, consent agenda, City Council minutes of March 2nd, 2015, regular meeting, recommendation approved.
So moved, Your Honor. Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 5 is ordinance and resolutions. A, ordinance induction amendment to Chapter 50, Article 1, Section 5, subsections A and B, snow removal. Who's handling that?
I'll take a stab. Mr. Boulier is here, so I may ask him to add if he can, or maybe even Mr. Jefferson, but the amendment has primarily has 2 changes. First, there's a specification to clear the entire width of the sidewalk within 24 hours of accumulation. And then second, I guess you'd say major item, the addition of code enforcement officer or their duly authorized representative. Those are additions to the police chief as a person that could handle this matter.
The only question I had, the 24 hours, a lot of places or homes and that type of thing use outside services. I have the business and then I have my homes. Sometimes it's real close to the end of the 24 hours, one day, before they get them cleared.
I agree. I think that 24 hours is really limited.
If you have
Has this been reviewed by the attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand the change in the enforcement officer, that's great. I mean, you know, somebody's got to be enforcing, somebody got to go around. I just questioned the 24
I think
hours.
there's times the city sidewalks aren't done in 24 hours. Just to, I mean, I know that for a fact. So.
Within the last 2 years, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think it's unrealistic myself, but.
Does that number have
What
to
are we
be-
trying to do?
No,
in
I think
24
the
hours?
council can, if the council wishes to amend the ordinance before introduction, it could do that.
Well,
The current ordinance says that any person required by the section to remove or clear any obstruction from the sidewalks neglects or refuses to do so for 24 hours after receiving an order. So now, once they get the order, they have 24 hours. What we're saying, Katie? Yeah, Katie's asking us within 24 hours of accumulation, not 24 hours of the notice.
Right.
Is that what I'm reading right?
That's correct.
So if we change the verbiage the other way, I'm okay with it. If
To,
you get the notice that you haven't cleared it, then you have 24 hours to get away. Because you would at least give a resident or the business or somebody 24 hours to get there, yeah, especially in a heavy snow.
So are we talking, they get the notice within 24 hours and then they have 24 hours to remove it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But does that sound reasonable? Or-
I think it's reasonable, yes, and I think for purposes of tonight's introduction, if that's the will of the council, there should be a motion made to change that language, and then for adoption purposes at the next meeting, I'll have that revision in place.
I would move.
I support.
Dee, is there any problem with that?
Yeah, I guess
The problem that I would see, the biggest problem that I see as far as that goes is if we have to notify them.
Yeah.
It's okay if she sticks it on their door, but if we have to come back, send a letter, now you got 48 hours, it won't work.
Oh, no, a ticket can be issued, however, I think if she has to go knock on the door, or if she has to even call them and say, hey, you haven't done your sidewalk, that's notice enough, would it not be?
Yes.
Dean, how do you-
Notice has been served, and once you
Well,
haven't,
but that's, as long as she can just stick it in their mailbox or on their door.
if she can get to the door,
Yeah,
it's real deep
yeah.
snow.
I mean, that's where the biggest problem is. She comes back and has to mail them a letter, then wait until they think they get the letter, and then give them another 24 hours to do it. You might melt by then.
Yeah. The next snowstorm has
So,
come.
I mean, the biggest thing is get them in a program, and then I think they'll take care of themselves. So.
Right, so the motion is made and supported in your change, you want the language to reflect
From notice.
from notice.
Yes.
How many notices do we issue today? I mean, how many times, Chief, do your guys go and
We don't do it, what they're asking to do here. This is something that she's trying to add to the ordinance, whereas that she could actually go out and make contact with the homeowners and say, look, your sidewalk's not done. Or whereas the police is out trying to keep the roads clear on time during an emergency of that nature. This is where she's gonna help us out a lot more, whereas before, we would knock down, we would just get a hold of people and say, hey, you need to take care of your sidewalks. But now that we have a code enforcement officer that has the time, it's gonna be an extension of the snow ordinance emergency that we have.
Right, other questions? Call roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
24 hours after you put snow in?
No, 24 hours after you've been given notice.
Makes sense.
This is the way it reads now, right? I believe that's the way it reads now. We're going to change it.
We're giving,
I thought we were switching 24 hours after the last snowfall. They get the notice and then they have 24 hours to shovel snow.
no,
I believe,
That's what I thought. That's what I thought we were moving and supporting.
I understand the amendment to be, we're going to change the language of the current ordinance to include the entire width of the sidewalk. That's the first change. In subparagraph B, we're going to allow the code enforcement officer and anyone designated by the code enforcement officer or the chief of police to issue these citations. And then the third proposed change was that the snow be removed within 24 hours of accumulation. The motion that was just heard was, and adopted, was that we will go back to the current language. It'll be 24 hours after receiving notice to clear.
Well, that's what it says now.
Correct.
The amendment that's before the council tonight changes that, so we're going to change it back.
no, I think what Mitch is saying is it says in paragraph B, it
There's no
says,
changing it.
yeah, it's the same thing it says today. This is old,
Right, this is the new version.
right, but up here it says 24 hours after receiving an order.
This is what's before the council tonight, so we're going to have to change it back to this.
So
Oh,
we're
I see
making
what you're
no
saying.
yeah, what we're doing here is we're with the original wording in B, but what we're doing is saying now it's the entire width of the sidewalk, and our code enforcement officer can now give them the notice.
And we're going to keep the within 24 hours accumulation.
That's going to be stricken.
All right? All right, so the motion's been made, supported. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Krebs, Cuffa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
McCartney, Foley,
Yes.
Kingswater,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. We'll go to reports of administration, Mr. Booth.
Your Honor, I have two items this evening. First of all, I'd like to give an update on the Riverside Avenue improvements, the M29. I think maybe within the last couple meetings, Mr. Foley and a few other council members had asked about it. Copies of the proposed Riverside Avenue M29 corridor improvement plan, PowerPoint presentation, and related traffic studies were submitted to Drew Buckner at the state of Michigan. And that study helped pull that together and get it off to him. The plan was originally created by Spalding DeDecker Associates for the city with the assistance of the state of Michigan and St. Clair County Metropolitan Planning. The proposed plan was accepted by council in August of 2010. This latest submission was done just to ensure that the state has a final copy of our plans. So that has been done, a hard copy and an email to Mr. Buckner. Second item, in our meeting earlier tonight, I discussed paving project bids for the 2014 scrap tire grant, where the work will be done in the construction season of 2015. The bids have been sent out. The city is requesting bids for paving work to be performed on Hawthorne, Orchard, South 9th, and the city skate park parking lot. The bids themselves will be received through 10 a.m. on March 31st of 2015, and Rowe Professional Services Company is handling the bid process. That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. Any questions or anything, Mr. Booth? All right. Mr. Downey, you have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, Your
All
Honor.
right. Any city departments have anything? D is authorities, boards, and commissions, chairs, council reps. We have no unfinished business on 7. We'll go to 8, new business. A, approval of special events permit for annual walleye fishing tournament. Chief?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm in receipt of a request to approval of a special events permit. The St. Clair Marlboro Eye Classic is requesting permission to hold their annual Marlboro Eye fishing tournament at the St. Clair Boat Harbor Rotary Park on May 15th from 10 a.m. through May 17th to 4 p.m. All the necessary documents have been received and they are in compliance with the city ordinance. I respectfully recommend approval for their event.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Chief. We'll go to B. Motion, we'll entertain a motion to direct administration to send out the crack seal machine bids,
So
ask
moved.
for bids.
Support. I'll support.
All right, motion's made, support. Any questions?
Explain how it's gonna work, the bid process.
How is the bid process going to work? Well, I guess I'll have to see if, we'll have to spec it out. We have a spec currently for the piece of equipment that we brought in and demoed. Sure, we'll use that and we'll send it out. I guess my question would be is, do we have to go to the gentleman that's the local rep, or can we go to someone else? He's not the only one that sells that piece, but he may be the only one in Michigan. If he's the only one in Michigan, we'll look there. I'll also check the state Michigan bid website, see if they have a deal with them as well. And I guess that's how we'll go about it.
Can you advertise your bid
We'll have to advertise.
in the paper?
I'll follow up and give you an answer on that.
And will be a bid opening posted?
Yep. I mean, just like we normally would.
Has a motion been made?
Yes.
Supported.
All right, call the roll, please.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Puppa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yeah.
McCartney, Foley,
Yes.
Kingsbutter,
Yes.
Krebs. Motion carried.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to number 9, claims and accounts for March 6th and March 13th, 2015.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll go to number 10, public questions and comments. Anybody have anything tonight?
Anybody else want to go first? Thank you. Try to make it brief. When I had talked to Bill, I think it was Thursday evening, we had already made our reservations to come home, and too cheap to buy the insurance policy on the air travel, so we came home. I still would have liked to have it on the meeting tonight, but I can understand, that you want to have the full board. Had some conversation this afternoon with Dr. Hannaran, and he made a couple of good points to me, and when we looked at buying the house, we looked at it for about 2 years, back in '06 and '07, and had a lot of opportunity to spend time down there and see sort of what was going on around the house. And I've told the planning commission this, or the engineer that works for me has told them. I haven't done much speaking on this issue, but when we saw what was around it, there was a 4-unit rental, and there was a house next door that's owned by Rob Yakum at this point, and there was 2 renters there, and there were 4 in that house right up on the driveway that bordered our property. Condominiums across the street, and again, I did my due diligence on the property because I've never seen that much density around a piece of property that, you know, supposedly I thought was R1, and it was R3. And so for that reason, we bought it. I know Dr. Breeden had talked in here that I had inherited the house, and I got up and spoke to that, and I don't like to get into those type of personal issues that somehow I inherited the house, and it wasn't true. I had bought the house for my mother. The house was built by many people that my mother knew from Marine City. It was built in the factory, in the Fisher Inslee factory down in Marine City. We had relatives and friends that worked there back in the 60s. And when I said to my mother, she was getting quite old, that I'm going to buy that house because we saw it a lot when it was built. And I said, would you put it in your name? And she said, sure, no problem. So we did. And when my mother did pass away, I did the house, but I bought the house. My mother never gave it to me. So I don't want you to think that just one of these kids that people give things to. I've earned what I had. So I don't know why Chris brought that up, but anyway, I think when this thing started out, I worked with the city, and when they explained to me why the R3 really wasn't an effective zoning, and they showed me what's next to me as far as the density and the renters and that type of thing, I agreed with them. So when they took the R3 away, I thought that made some sense, even though I came to the meeting, was told to come to the meeting and say I'd like to keep it. When the planner came up with the PUD and said, if you really only want to do 3, the way it's R3, you could have done 9 or 11. If you really want to do 3, just a senior citizen type facility, let's go with the PUD. So we had meetings in administration, D and the planner and Terry Byer, and said this would work, and it would be a nice development, and it's very improved even from what it is, and it fits in with the way the houses surround me as far as the way they're used today, condominiums across the street to the west, and then the multiple rentals to the south, and it wouldn't be disruptive. The other thing is, we've never had any issues with the renters next door. It's never been a concern of ours. I never felt like it hurt my property value to live across from condominiums and then renters next door. Rob Yakum did a nice job in improving his home next door. There have been good tenants, good neighbors. And so that never bothered me. But I think what I did then is I got with the 3 neighbors that were surrounding me, and 2 of them took a look at what we wanted to do. I had already had the print, showed them what it was going to look like, and they were enthused. They said, we have no problem with it. One of the neighbors wouldn't look at it, and that was Chris Breeden. And Chris said, I don't want to know anything about it, but I'm going to make sure it does not get legs and it doesn't get done. And so that's kind of the way he started. At that point, he started to go up and down the street telling people that it was going to be obnoxious and it was going to be noisy and it was going to be safety problems, it was going to ruin property values and whatnot. And I think people that I've talked to since said it was misrepresented to them, and the signatures probably wouldn't have happened that quickly if people could have seen what we presented. And I think the feeling was when we came in with the plan and people came for that first planning commission meeting, I think quite a few of them kind of looked at it and said, doesn't look too bad, and they left. And that was about the last time we saw the large group of people. From there on in, we had 3 to 5 to 6 people. So I think if that wouldn't have been done, this wouldn't have been so difficult for all of us. But that aside, we're here where we're at today. Hopefully on the 20th, we can get this thing acted on and get this thing approved and make a nice plan for the city. There's nothing I'd want to do here to hurt what it looks like on the river. I feel like our house is not the best-looking house on the river. It looks rather commercial with a flat roof. I think this is a big improvement. And so, I guess for that reason, you know, I hope the council studies it well, kind of follows what the planner had said with Robert. Robert Skirdo did a very nice job. All the things that Chris talked about in the newspaper today, the article that's in there today, and whatever, are things that he actually substantiated as far as the traffic and the noise and the property values and whatnot. None of that's been substantiated by Chris, but your planner actually said it will not have an effect that way on the neighborhood. So I hope you guys, like I say, take a look at this thing for the 20th. I'm going to head back south for a couple weeks and I'll be back, so hopefully we can get this addressed at that time. And I appreciate it. Any questions anybody has?
Thank you. Thank you, Wally. Mr. Eisen.
Bill, I was wondering about this.
Can you come up to this microphone, please, just so everybody at home can hear you? Give us your name and address.
You know me. George Eisen. I live over in Clinton Avenue. Hey, a while ago you was talking about street assessment. Are you going to do something about that, or what's going on? I thought there'd be something in the paper about what it'll cost per assessment and how bad the streets are. And some of them are worse than chuck holes and gravel roads, like the mall parking lot.
Yeah.
But if you don't get out and explain that stuff, people are not going to vote for it.
Right. We actually had a work
It's going
session.
to cost quite a bit more now than it would have, what was that, 4 years ago when you talked about it? You put up a millage? Or a vote?
5 years, but 4 or 5 years.
3,
ago,
4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't explain that, people are not going to go for it.
Right. Yeah, we had a meeting prior to this meeting, and we talked about roads, and we addressed those very issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? All right, then we will go to number 11. Any council members, mayor comments, announcements?
Any updates on M29 bridge?
Yes, they might open 2 days early, if that. That came right from the guys that are there. You have heard anything different?
No.
No, they wouldn't commit to anything early. They just said 31st.
I even tried to buy a drink and dinner if they'd move off early, but it didn't work.
All right, I do have one quick announcement, but this weekend I was up in Roscommon, and for the first time I went over to the Fireman's Memorial. I'd never been there. And if you ever get a chance, you go up, if you're going up 75, it's only 5 minutes off the expressway. It's very quick. And I started reading all the names in there, and I have to tell you that, you know, every once in a while we should step back and thank our police department, our fire department, all the people who serve on committees, the people sitting up here, the people who just do stuff for the town that just because their heart's there. And as I read through some of those names up there, it was like, man, I know those guys, you know. Perry Westrick's name was on there. And so to all you people out there that are helping the city, you're just doing stuff because your heart's in it, you're good people, and we need you, and we thank you.
That was nice.
You know, every once in a while, I gotta say something nice.
Yeah.
Even you, Foley.
There's
All right.
nothing else, Your Honor. I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good night, everyone.
Drive careful.